That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
Can everybody see me?
No. You're a monster.
I'm 472 feet away from the camera, so if you're watching this, this 1996 software program that we got here is
Trey doesn't know how to work the camera.
I don't sit behind a computer all day, but it's okay.
Yes, you do.
No, I only sit there for 1 hour one day. That's all I can take.
I don't know. I called you this morning. You were about to go on a VT.
I was on a 1 hour meeting.
How long did that 1 hour meeting take?
Uno hours, dude. Uno hours. We had a 1 hour meeting, and you're welcome. That's as much as you're going to get out of me. I actually like being behind the computer for the OneCast a heck of a lot more than I do for official work. And speaking of that, we got a great show lined up for you guys tonight. So if you're joining us, awesome, engage. And if not, this will be recorded and go out everywhere after the fact. Support all those that support us the most. They're scrolling across the bottom of your screen. OneCast Fishing, use the code TheOneCast. All one word at checkout, OneCastFishing.com. Get your hands on all that gear. The weedless nets, the soft plastics, the snagless jigs, you name it, long neck hooks, apparel. Then while you're online, head on over to CarolinaWatersNC.com and use the code TheOneCast to get your hands on all that UPF gear. And then make sure you guys check us out at the Raleigh Fishing Show as well. We're going to be there, but also head on over to Hobie Eyewear. Use that link that we always provide. It's going to save you 20% at checkout. Get your hands on all the different frames and lenses that they have to offer. And then download the Deep Dive app on your app store or your Play Store, whatever it's called, before your next fishing trip. Make sure you subscribe for that annual subscription. Things like $80. It's going to help you guys break down a bunch of water and understand it way better than if you were trying to YouTube it. I promise you that. And then finally, if you're moving to Central North Carolina, hit up our buddy Terry Carpenter, carpenterthpw.com with Howard Perry Walson and Caldwell Banker. Terry sells more houses than, well, really anybody that I've ever seen before. He's going to get you squared away with what you're looking for. He's a bass angler himself. He's going to make sure that boat can fit in the garage. Isn't that right, Pete?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here we are. I think I got it down packed. That was like, what, 47 seconds? I don't know.
3 minutes.
Man, December's here. I mean, Christmas is what, this coming week?
Almost over.
Yeah.
It's almost over.
Man, it is. This, I feel like these last few months have flown by, man. I really do. But then it always gets weird, like after like tournament season and stuff is over, and then the holidays come up, and then I don't know. I feel like you just lose connection. Like I lose connection with like the fishing world for a little bit. I don't know. You guys feel that way?
No, to be honest, like I know a lot of people say they take a break. Like I was just watching fishing today. Like I watch fishing. I take a break, for the most part. If it's, I'm pretty big in construction work too. So that, but for the most part, I can't get away from fishing. If it's out in the water or watching it behind the screen, I love it, man. I'm made up with it.
Yeah. Are you a YouTuber? Do you watch a lot of YouTube fishing?
If there's nothing going on, if there's nothing current or something that I maybe have missed, I'll go back and watch it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that is about the only connection I keep during this time of the year, other than fishing here and there. But YouTube is pretty much where I'm watching. I would say 90%.
There wasn't really a break this year because there was fishing from January till literally just 2 weeks ago when the last EQ tournament finished up. That's a long stretch of continuous fishing. So I watch it all year round.
Well, I feel like Pete's a big deer hunter. Ben deer hunts. Josh, you occasionally deer hunt. I haven't deer hunted this year, but I can tell you, I think that's why. Like I feel like I've lost connection a little bit because I didn't deer hunt, but I really didn't fish that much either. I mean, I fished in like November and a little bit in December, but it just slowed down. Obviously, a lot of things are going on in life. That's why we got Josh on. tonight. Josh Watkins, good friend of the show, good friend of ours. If you rewind a couple years ago, we had Josh on, and then we had you on last year with your lovely wife. That was following one of the MPFL tournaments. So we wanted to bring you back on here as the holiday season's coming around. Fishing's relatively slow. You're definitely not going to be doing a whole lot of fishing up where you're living unless you're going to be on the ice.
Well, I tell you what, it's warm out there.
Is it?
Or hasn't it?
Are you
Here in Illinois? Yeah. It was warm like yesterday, but for like a week, it was like in the teens.
Ooh.
Well, yeah. So we had a week of cold. How warm is it going to be at Christmas there?
Christmas I think, is going to be in the upper 30s. The New Year, whenever I just told you, it's going to be in the high 40s. I think that's when my dad and I are going to go crappie fishing. Like January 1st, I think it's supposed to be in the upper 40s, and then I think it's supposed to just drop right back down.
You talking Michigan or Illinois?
I'm talking Illinois, Southern Illinois.
Where I'm going to be in Missouri, and if I go to the game on Christmas in Kansas City, it's supposed to be 70 there that day.
70?
Yeah.
In Kansas City on Christmas Day?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So it's been like 60 in Denver, like during the last 2 weeks and stuff. And
oh my God, I didn't see that. Yeah, you're.
That is insane.
Hey, warm weather, people can go fishing on Christmas. I've done that before. Man. I was single. My buddy came up. He was in the Marine Corps. He was in Camp Lejeune. We went out on I think Harris. I think we went to both Harris and Jordan because I think Harris was terrible. We're like, you know what? No, I take that back. We were going to go to Jordan, but we couldn't. The lake was flooded. So you couldn't even use the ramp. So we went over to Harris. That's what it was.
67 on Christmas Day here.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Will Santa even show up if it's that warm up there? I don't know.
You on the day after? I'm definitely getting the lake that day.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna be up in Michigan, man. They got like a foot of snow.
Well, we'll send you pictures, Josh.
Yeah, for sure. Catching giants, dude, on jig head minnows and stuff.
You can probably find somebody to take you ice fishing while you're up in Michigan.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh, bro, talk to us a little bit about, within the last few months, you had a big shift in your life, and kind of tell the audience about that and how that whole transition from military service to civilian life went.
This past whole year, I wasn't supposed to fish the MPFL this year, because preparing to transition out of the Army and get back into the civilian life and start up my own business and stuff like that. But fast forward a little bit, like the Army said, no, like we wanted you to fish again. So I was like, okay, I can do this. Like I've done a lot of hard stuff in my life. Like I can continue to fish with the MPFL and transition out of the Army and start up a business and move back home and get settled in and spend time with my daughter and catch up with some family and friends back here. That's easy. It was hard. It was tough. Like I probably picked up too much, more than I could chew off. But hey, we're sitting here again, and we're getting ready to go back after 2026. Transition out of the Army. That was, like a lot of people are going to say it was scary. To me personally, it wasn't scary. Like I've always set myself up, for success in the future. Now I can see it being scary if somebody like procrastinated and just kept pushing it off. But the Army does well of allowing you to set yourself up to get out at 12 to 24 months out. Like if you can't get out of any occupation within 24 months, then you messed up somewhere. So like that transition of literally getting out of the Army and getting to where I'm at right now was easy. The hard part is adjustment. I was just talking to a good friend of mine. He actually fishes the MPFL, Chad Marler. He won the UFA event. He was in the 82nd for a long time, 10, 12 years, and he got out. He only spent 10 or 12 years, but we talk a lot now that we're both out. And it's the adjustment and expectations of it doesn't make what we call civilian people bad, right? It's just we grew up in the Army with this vision of like everything has to be done this way and it has to be done at this time and this.
Yep.
So like you hear those stories of like, hey, it's going to be a hard adjustment. That's been the hardest adjustment, and people's work ethic isn't to what I'm used to. So that's been tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, and go ahead.
Andrew, what's going on, brother? Comic Man Andrew up there in Michigan said projected low 50s here in Southwest Michigan for Christmas. So maybe it won't be as bad up there when you're there for Christmas.
Lows in the 50s?
Low 50s. So that'd be the high.
Ain't going to be no ice up there.
Yeah, I don't know if I would trust going out on the ice, even if there is any
Merry Christmas,
with those. Josh, you talked about that transition period. Obviously, myself, like I'm going on my month and a half mark now, transitioning out of the military. But I wanted to ask you, and for the audience, obviously we got a lot of veterans and stuff, and some active duty. Do you feel like the fishing community made it easier for your transition though, because you've been surrounded by extracurricular activities that didn't revolve around the military for years?
A very like I am not even like you, right? Like you all know where I came from the last 3 years, like what I did for the Army for the last 3 years. I got to travel over the country. Like I was almost civilized before I even began to, think about getting out of the Army. I hardly wore a uniform. That's probably bad to say, but like I hardly wore a uniform. But yes, that fishing and getting out into the public and dealing with other anglers like that, yeah, that definitely helped.
Yeah.
Hello from Brighton, Michigan. What's up, Brighton? Hey, Frank, how are you doing, brother? Jeff Horner, Merry Christmas, bro.
We got them all around the country, Josh, saying hi to you. So that's a good thing. You got Michigan, you got North Carolina, you got, I don't even know where everyone else is at. East Coast. I don't know if we got any West Coast folks on here right now. So, when you're in the Army, guys, obviously, I'm going to talk a bunch. I do it all the time, but get in where you fit in here. Fishing for the Army was a fantastic opportunity. If anybody doesn't know, Josh was on the Army outdoor team on the fishing side of the house. The Army outdoor team is a massive, organization within the Army itself, focusing on recruiting campaigns and trying to, build our inventory of troops. Right. And fishing was one of those avenues, one of those vectors and stuff. But now that you're out of the Army, because there was a lot of pressure on you representing the United States Army and only the United States Army while you're in, and there was a great opportunity. What do you think is going to talk about some of the things that you're really excited about, but you're also maybe nervous about at the same time as you go into fishing the 2026 MPFL season as a civilian?
Skeeter Wayne Crosby said, "What's up, Watkins?"
Skeeter. The most thing that I'm not really nervous about is just, I got to do this for 3 years now, but it's been on the Army's time and the Army's dime. And I was literally going to take a year off from not even fishing the Toyotas or Opens or anything. I was just going to just walk away for a little bit and get my feet back underneath me and then see what happens, a year or two down the road. But as I was transitioning out on our last tournament on Logan Martin, I talked to a really good friend of mine who also fished the MPFL, and he became a friend of mine over the last, part of the last year. And he had asked me if I was going to come back, and I told him no. And then we were talking, off and on for a few weeks. And he's like, "Man, I think you should come." This is where it gets tricky too, because a lot of outdoorsmen and women. I look at the outdoorsman as a way for self-reflection, right? I really do. And you'll meet a lot of people, anglers, outdoorsmen, that do a lot of self-reflection. I don't care if you're sitting at a deer stand or if you're struggling on a fishing boat, but like I've always been a religious kind of person, and I'm not trying to go down a religious road right now, but he kind of got me back into that path of, going to God and asking him for guidance. And so Cheryl and I, started attending a church and stuff, and we were just asking him to kind of like show us the way. Like, what are we supposed to do now that my career in the Army's over and we're moving back into Illinois? And I kid you not, like, the one reason why I wasn't going to fish again was because, like, that's expensive. Fishing expensive, especially on these three bigger like Major League Fishing invitationals and MPFL. Those entry fees are steep. I was like, man, I have the money like put away, but like I've always said that I'll never dip in my savings to go and do this. Like that's not important for me, and I won't do that. And I just kept praying. I said, man, if I'm supposed to fish again, like show me. And I tell you what, man, it hits me, it gives me the goosebumps. But my phone rang. I told you, Trey, I think it was. I was like, oh boy. I said, I just got told that I got a company that's going to support me with two entry fees. I was like, that's a big push. And so then Cheryl and I started talking. I said, babe, I said, if I can get to 4, I'll go ahead and commit, because I'm not going to be an angler. You'll see it on different trails. They'll go ahead and commit. And my word is my word, and that's what I'll take. And everybody was calling and asking, like, hey, where are you going to fish at? And I said, I don't know if I'm fishing, guys. And another company, Fallen Outdoors, the Fallen Outdoors came on board and picked up another entry fee. And I'm like, oh man, like we're halfway there. And then a good friend of mine got me in contact with Luz and Rather Outdoors. And I'm going to be part of their American Hero program that they stood up a few years ago with Jamie Caldwell. And like now we're past that threshold of halfway there. Now I just got picked up with a dealership, a Ford dealership here, local here. They're going to help me out. And so like the progress is going there. And so like it was not possible. Like I'll sit here and say it was impossible without him, like showing me what, hey, keep believing, man, and keep pushing, and your dreams will come true. And that's where we're at. I know that kind of went off your topic of what your question was, but that's where we're at right now.
No, I don't think you went off topic at all. I mean, like, there's a lot of anglers in this game that, they'll risk it at all costs. It doesn't matter. And, Pete and Ben and I have talked about it on previous shows before. The gambling addiction in this game is real. And guys like you and the three of us here, like, we're advocates for, hey man, like follow your dream, but don't let your dream turn into a nightmare,
And so go ahead.
No, go ahead, dude.
Be smart. You got to be smart.
And so, like I said, like I went to God. I was like, hey man, like you guys all know my backstory, who I am. And even when I was fishing for the Army, like before I even got on the Army team, my Camus was branded with the Army, falling out my brothers that were, lost their lives in Afghanistan and Iraq. And even when I started fishing with the Army, I didn't want to lose that image, because that was not only was it who I am, like my brand, but it was who I represented. That's why I was out there doing it. And I've caught a lot of slack from it. They're like, oh, you're fishing behind those guys. Or that's not what I was trying to do, because everybody's like, the military personnel, they take advantage of what they've done in the past to gain profit in the future. And that's, you all know me, that's not what I do. But going back to 2026, the Ford dealership, he was an 82nd Airborne Jump Master, so like he picked up on me. Luz and American Hero program, they picked up on me. The Fallen Outdoor. So everybody that I'm aligning is myself, my image as Josh Watkins, and not the Army, still affiliates with the military background, which it works out perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we got so many people that, that's how, in my opinion, that's how success is built. We always say, like, it takes a village. And it really does, because it's too hard to beat. It's too hard to go to a company that you just don't know and ask for 60 grand, or whatever the case may be. And I'm in the same boat, man. Like I wouldn't have got the title sponsorship if it wasn't for Ben and OneCast Fishing. And I wouldn't have gotten help from external resources if it wasn't for this podcast. Right. And you gotta, and you want to go out there and represent brands that you believe in. You don't want to go out there and, I mean, yeah, you can go cold call people all day long, but at the end of the day, like your career, the history you have with the military, your experience in the MPFL, like and your belief in God, your faith in God, like got you to where you are. And Pete said earlier, like, just be smart about it. You know,
gotta be
like
smart.
you got to be smart, you know.
Well,
And
another
that's
thing about it too, what I've learned about this year, because you said like, what is different between going into 2026 and going from the past? I relied on the Army, right? I relied on the Army to pay for my lodging, pay for my gas, pay for my entry fees, pay for everything, right? But now going into 2026, I've got a lot of mentors, you know, in the BPT, on the elites, and then in the MPFL that fish with me. That's kind of helped me steer me in the right direction. And I'll be honest, like even Just Spragg and James Watson, they pulled me in and they're like, hey, like no offense, but you gotta realize what you're worth. You know, there is a worth. You may think you're worth just because you're fishing the MPFL, just because you're fishing the Invitational. What do you bring to the table for these companies that are going to pay you big dollars? And I had another guy who's like, man, you don't accept anything lower than 10 grand. Don't. I'm sitting here like, man, I'll just be happy with $1,000, you know. Let me get going. And that's kind of where I shot my sponsorship package towards, is I just lowered everything. And some people are going to say, well, you cut yourself short. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm the next Drew Gill or Jacob Wheeler or let's be real. Like, I'm 40 years old. Like, I'm just doing this for the fun of it. Like,
right.
I just want to keep fishing. And so as long as they keep on helping me pay for my way, I don't need the income. You know, I'm retired from the Army now. My wife is retired. She's got a full-time job. We live just fine. But as long as they could keep on help me push my brand and my fallen brothers, I'll keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, knowing your worth is one thing when you're billing for a skill. Not that fishing isn't a skill, or social media isn't a skill, but when in this game, people have to take a realistic look at their worth as far as, you know, the return on investment for these companies. And a lot of guys, some people are going to get mad probably that are watching this, think they're worth a lot more than they actually are when it comes to those sponsorship dollars, right? So the guy that's telling you don't take anything less than 10 grand, ask him how many people have ever wrote him a $10,000 check. I'm willing to bet it's one or less. There's very few people that are worth that kind of return on investment when you look at the grand scheme of things with social media, with marketing, with being willing to go to shows, having the ability to do all that and everything that you're asked. And at that point in time, Josh, is that $10,000 worth your time? Is that really your worth? Because if I'm giving you 10 grand, I'm going to want you at every show. I'm going to want a video a day. I'm going to want a lot for my money, right? So maybe if I give you $1,000, you mention me in a post once a week, you come to a show that's local to you. I'm not putting as much pressure on you. So I'm valuing your time as well as, you know, you're valuing your own time. So I think there's a lot of really good articles, and we talk about a lot, and I'm glad that we got here with you and we're going down this path, because just go back and read Seth Feider's article about when he first made the elites. He thought they were going to come calling. And let me tell you something.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
He learned that they don't come calling. It doesn't mean anything to make it. You've got to do more than just make it. Making it doesn't get you paid. And a lot of folks think because they sign and say, I'm going to fish the MPFL, or I'm going to fish BPT, or I made it to the elites, that dudes are just going to start dropping, you know, companies are going to start dropping $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on them. And it's crazy. So the fact that you recognize that and dropped it down and look where it's got you. And you had, of course, the you know, good Lord working on your side, clearly, given that, you know, y'all gave it over to him and he led you down the path to get you where you want to be. So I think it's important, though, you know, we do a lot setting realistic expectations on people. And I'm glad to hear, I was bummed when we heard you weren't going to fish. And then when it all started to work out, I was like, it's awesome. He gets to go back, you know, because I know you were smart about it. The same as I was going to fish the opens with Trey. I had a goal of the amount of money I wanted to raise. I was like $3,500 short from what I wanted. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take it out of my savings.
I told Trey and a good buddy, Jonathan Pimentel, who is out there on Ozarks. I told him I was going to fish the opens. And then like I said, man, you know, good Lord put me in a different direction and gave me a different opportunity. So
Skeeter said,
and there's a lot of negative around fishing, period. But like, I don't care. Like, it's not, you'll hear Bass treats his anglers bad, or Major League Fishing treats their anglers bad. The NPFL, come on, man, like the only league that you got to fish or qualify are the elite. So if you don't like something, just go somewhere else and fish.
Yeah,
I'm so over the negativity.
Yeah. It's hard, man. Like, we're never gonna get rid of that. Of course, we know that, right? And Skeeter said, "Hey, you guys got sponsors? Like, let me get some." Just, yeah. Jesse Wise just jumped on. What's up, Jesse? Haven't seen you in a minute, man. Chris Curtis, what's up, Chris? Veda jumped on. What's up, Veda? But Josh, let me tell you something, man. Like, this is, we come from every single one of us comes in from being stewards of our profession, whether or not that's in the first responder field, that's with what Pete does currently, what Ben, you, myself did. And the one thing that I'll say that really worked in your advantage, and maybe this is why the good Lord was looking out for you, was you are always a steward of the profession, steward of the sport, steward of the profession. Always maintained, professionalism on social media, on the stage. And listen, if you're out there, like, companies look at that stuff, right? They do. Now you can have a network of boys that are rich and got FU money, and that's fine. And they're going to help you out. But if you're trying to shop around for people to actually invest their money into you, they may do their due diligence and look back through your track record and how you behaved in front of the camera or on the stage or whatever the case may be. And Josh, you always did a fantastic job at that. The Army Outdoor Team did a fantastic job at that. And granted, you were marketing on behalf of the Army. That was setting the conditions for 3 years for this transition in the civilian world. And I think, I think what you did, and this goes for the audience too, like, and I think more and more people are doing this now, especially the ones that aren't necessarily household names and established in the sport, is you took a big time hometown approach to this. And not all hometowns are created equal, right? And not a lot of hometowns have a lot of money and stuff like that. But that targeting individual businesses for individual tournaments, maybe being presenting sponsors of the tournament rather than a title sponsored throughout the year. Yeah. That's a really smart business move. Depending on where you're coming from, right? If you're in the Silicon Valley, you probably get all the sponsorship you want. You know what I mean? Because all the tech companies in the world are starting up there. But if you're in hometown, I don't know, let's say Comstock, Michigan, where I'm from, I'm not getting $5,000 from the beer store, bro. You know what I mean? So I think that was a really cool way of doing it. And, a lot of the younger anglers can look at that as a model that may work for them, right? It may be a model for success for small town kids.
Yeah. Everybody's got their own path, man. Everybody's got their own way.
Hey,
what works for me won't work for you, and what works for you won't work for Pete or Ben. So,
right.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask Josh, do you think you'll approach this upcoming season, any differently than when you were still with the Army team? Because I know you had Army commitments while you were there as well.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and listen, I'll be honest and I'll be real. Like, my record's not been the greatest on the MPFL. There's been some tournaments I've held my own, and missed some checks just by a fish or two. But going into next year, I already feel like stress relief, other than making sure I don't have to dip in my own money to get stuff covered. But like when it comes to, I could be Josh Watkins. I don't have to be Master Sergeant Watkins. I love it. I love people. I love talking to people. I can go out and work for the companies that support me than just working for the U.S. Army. Like, don't get me wrong. I was grateful and thankful for what they allowed me to do, but like, it stops there, you know what I mean? And like Trey was saying, like, if I didn't think outside the box and how am I going to continue to market Josh Watkins when this is over, it's all going to be over whenever I retire from the Army. And, speaking of what Trey was saying, like, nothing against the Army, but the Army is the Army, and they don't like to be tied to other organizations. And I don't, discredit them. That's their rules, and that's what we got to follow by. But we couldn't go out there and solicit sponsors under our name while we're representing the Army. Like, we all know that. So that was another reason why going into 2026, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if the eyes were watching me or if people had been watching me, because I've never won a tournament. I wasn't, in the top 10 of the angler year. Like, I mean, I was just here and there floating and doing what I do. But like Trey said, like, as long as you carry yourself, professionally and have a good appearance, like you'll be shocked who's all watching you. And so to answer your question, Ben, I think I'm going to fish. I go out there and bomb every turn. I don't know, but I think I'm going to fish a lot better this year. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that stress away from the Army and being tied to something. Because right now I'm not tied to nothing other than my wife, right? But I'm not tied to nothing. That's awesome.
Little more stress free, so you can just go fish free.
Yeah, fishing free is a big thing, man. And luckily, you got a lot of muscle memory within the MPFL. Each organization's its own unique culture, and we all know that. But you know that culture very well. The leadership group, the anglers very well. The staff, they don't get enough credit. They do a great job in the MPFL. So with the 2026 season,
I want to circle back just one thing real quick. I know that's one of your favorite terms, circle back. But we talked about the negativity and all the negativity around, and one thing all of these dudes, and it seems to be a group of dudes that are the same in every league. It's the same people all the time. Don't realize that negativity that they talk about and they spread impacts sponsorship dollars. Non-endemics looking out and looking for an opportunity. If you were to call them and say, hey, I fish, like, I use your product, I think it'd be great. And then they go and start researching fishing and they see all these dudes whining on the internet. That's probably not where they're going to want to invest their money. Right. And Ben's laughing because he's like, yeah. Would you want to, Ben? I mean, just think like if you looked at fishing as a whole and professional fishing and if you knew nothing about it and all you see is these dudes whining, you're going to want to invest money there.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like, social media is its own bubble, so like, that's just the way it is. Like,
it's not just social media. I mean, but that is advertising.
Like, is Twitter or X a reflection of real life? No.
Oh, I wouldn't go there.
It's.
But when they're putting out YouTube videos that are 45 minutes, crying about stuff and Facebook.
Oh, you're talking. Okay.
I'm talking like there's plenty of guys in every league that do that. They put videos on Facebook. Like that's I know it's social media, but that's also your biggest advertising platforms now. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And if all you're doing is on there and you go and look and it's just a bunch of dudes whining, like
this just crossed my mind, but like Netflix is picking up podcasting now. How do we get on that? How do we get picked up?
Oh, for real? Yeah, we gotta make some phone calls.
Yeah. Like
we better start talking about forward facing.
Like part of my take and Barstool is going over to Netflix and a couple other things. So
really
nice.
Yeah.
I think that's a great question, Pete. And maybe for Josh, like to kind of segue. I mean, you're asking people to invest in you, but when you're affiliated with the organization, you're guilty by association, right? That's just the way it is. There's and by no means do I think like there needs to be censorship. I just think there needs to be tactical level narratives that are professional and, say, hey, these are genuine concerns. And this is the risk associated with what's going on. And we need to work together to change it. You're never gonna eliminate the fact that people feel targeted or individualized or isolated and stuff like that. But if you're not trying to make it better, if you're not bringing solutions to the table, and you're just then it's hard to hear those people, right? It's hard to listen to that. And that's for the greater audience, right? How many people have had a boss, and not saying that the organization's your boss, but how many people had a boss said, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. Like, let's work on this together. And that's fine. And sometimes bosses and leadership and management, that stuff goes in deaf ears. And that's when maybe you got to take a different approach to it. But again, for Josh, you specifically, like you do voice concerns when they are, but you have a tactful way of doing it. That said, for 2026, now that you can brand yourself, and the partners that are behind you from hometown and abroad, what is your social media gonna look like? What's your marketing strategy gonna look like for 2026 versus what it was the last 3 years?
I would like to be a lot more present. Speaking to some of these companies, especially Lou's, that was one of their questions because and we're in 2026. Like, if you don't have a social media presence, what good are you to be, to these companies? Unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. It isn't a matter about the tournament wins. We all know it's not tournament wins. It's how often do you post? What is your reach? Not only is what's your reach, but like how much engagement are you getting? And then how much engagements are you getting profitable off or profits off of that? So, and that's what they asked me. They're like, "Well, what's your social media?" But it's this big, you know what I mean?
I wasn't allowed
I'm
to do
not.
it.
I don't have a huge following, and I really think that help. I think that helps me because you'll see a lot of people hide behind social media because I could go out there, and we all know that. I could pull out my wallet right now and buy a bunch of followers. They're all fake accounts and this and that. It all looks good on paper, but like I want to be that person that has X amount of followers and has 25% of those followers always engaged or 50% of those followers always engaged. So,
Yeah.
and I think even though that my social media is very small, like the people that follow me
They're
are
real
very
people.
engaged in what I do on and off the water in my personal life. They know who I am on and off the water. And I think that brought a lot of big credit, going into my partnership with the American Hero program.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, we've heard, friends of ours go to companies and them turn them away because of the lack of followers that they have on their social media, which I think is a very linear mindset for a lot of companies to have. So if you're a company out there thinking about sponsoring an angler or anybody for that fact, you might want to think about the fact that, if you have 2,500 followers, they're probably 2,500 real people that actually are invested in what you're doing. Some are going to be family. So on.
My question is this: I could post. I could. There's influencers out there that have hundreds of thousand followers, and they could post. The new bad lose reel that just came out, and they got thousands of followers, and they're getting thousands of views. But I really want to know how many of those views are actually getting profitable income back towards lose. You know what I mean? Like just because somebody clicks on that, working with the Army, this is where I'm going to go back to my time in the Army outdoor. People fudge numbers. They do. And social media is very easy to fudge numbers. Numbers aren't always true. And that's kind of what I told the companies whenever I went go talking to them. I know what they want. I know what they want to see, but numbers aren't always true. So I will be true.
And one thing to Trey's point, like I'm starting to see a shift in companies. So I still talk to a lot of companies in the industry and other industries, but they want to see engagement numbers now, not just followers. It used to be all about follower count, but now they're realizing it's super easy for me to go to a Russian or Chinese website, pay $100 and gain 40,000 followers, right? Bots. So they're starting to realize that if they're looking at these videos, you probably could with AI. Yeah, I don't mess with that too much, but you probably could, they're starting to look at that 30-second video watch on short form stuff, hours. So the number of actual watches and comments and likes and those things are now more, I don't want to say they're more important yet, but they're going to be because it's so easy to spoof numbers just by paying a couple bucks. I see that we get emails constantly with the podcast, like, "Oh, boost your followers, $19.99, and we guarantee you 10,000 new followers in the next month." And it's like, yeah, that we might have them click the follow button, but it's not anybody that's actually listening or participating in anything. So,
yeah, Filipino Special Forces does a raid on a house and sees 18,000 Lenovo phones on the wall, like spoofing numbers, liking, commenting, using auto formatting and everything like that. Like I think it just happened like a couple weeks ago. They did a raid and they saw like phones duct taped or Velcroed around the entire room that were plugged into USB.
Like there's entire in China they're selling their stuff. It's this entire like the person's in front of like 1,000 different phones.
It's insane. But
Andrew up there in Michigan said there's so many more people out there into fishing that want absolutely nothing to do with modern social media. They stay off Facebook, Instagram, X, everything. There are. I mean, there's a push. There's a push from a lot of guys and girls our age, which are, let's be honest, we're the ones spending the most money because we're in the time of our life where we're probably making the most we've ever made. We have time to go out and do it. We're relatively healthy to do it, and they're completely deleting social media off of their phones. They're just getting away from it. Now you still have the kids, they're still going to engage and do that, but there's a lot of people I know our age that have deleted their social media entirely and just don't deal with it. So you may see some shift from some of these companies to be able to re-engage, those 30 to 50 or whatever that age window might be, folks into their products. But
yeah,
that's a good point, Andrew. Definitely.
So let's I want to hit Josh with this. Let's steer towards the MPFL a little bit. Now that you're out of the Army, you can speak a little bit more freely. We both are. But, when the, there's a lot of changes organizationally across the board with rules and stuff like that. And I just want to get your take. It's the same for the BASS Opens and stuff. What's your take on the changes that the MPFL instituted for 2026 with like the no information rule and stuff?
I've always been, going into year one, the first tournament at Pickwick, I got my butt handed to me. I had some boat issues, but that's just a bunch of excuses. But but what I got out of that tournament was I realized the amount of networking that goes on during these tournaments, because that was the Pickwick tournament 3 years ago was the biggest tournament I've ever fished at that level. And when it comes, when you talk about network comes information, and information, my gosh, the sky's the limit, because it's almost 100% unpoliceable. We've all talked about so-and-so can talk about knows that Ben's going to go fish Harris Lake. He knows he's going to go fish Aaron Harris, but I'm going to talk about Jordan. And we all know where we're getting at. The information rule has kind of been a joke. It needed to be adjusted. I really do believe. And I do believe that MPFL made the right decision. Kind of like bass, going to that 27 or going to that 30-day off limit, prior to the event, no information. I think it's helpful. You still can't go out and get a guide. You still can't go out, buy and solicit, and barter for waypoints. You still can't do any of that. Now, is it going to benefit the angler that has the most connections? Again, you pick your poison. Like, do you want the information or do you not? Like, you can't. It's a lose-lose, win-win battle. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And I agree with it to where they're going. The 30 days is perfect, because you could get. We all know it. You get information all the way up to that 30 days. It doesn't mean that fish change every day, every hour. So,
yeah. No, I mean, I'm on the same deal as you. Like, I'm not a huge information gatherer at all myself. But a lot can change in 30 days. And as much as information can help people, it can absolutely crush their strategy. Especially if they rely on and they're not willing to put the work in. Just because you tell me where 85 brush piles are at doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to catch them out of those 85 brush piles. Right. So, I think the leagues themselves, the MPFL has really spearheaded a lot of changes in the fishing industry too. A lot of other organizations are kind of following suit, but if you think for 1 minute that these organizations don't do trial and error runs on what's best for the business, and then what's best for the anglers, what's best for the business first, but then what's best for the anglers, then you're dead wrong. They got to do this stuff. They got to make change. They got to adapt to the times.
And that's another thing I wish everybody would realize is it's a business. What's best for the business, and you'll hear it, man. You'll hear it. Oh, we're paying. I understand that, but guess what? If the business isn't good, you're not going to have nothing to pay into.
Right. So. Right. Nope. Yeah, hands down. That's solid information. Like, we all know that just because you can't, casinos all the time change rules and stuff like that, man. You know what I mean? And you got to follow the rules, or you're not going to be welcome in the casino anymore. And bass fishing is no different. So, 2026, which tournament are you looking forward to the most? You already know the answer, but what are you looking forward to the most?
I would say one of the New York ones, to be honest. Like,
Ooh.
George, nobody's been there. St. Lawrence, even though I couldn't get past the 16.5 pound bag, I caught a bunch of fish, and they were all like, I'm looking forward to going back to St. Lawrence and experiencing George just for the smallmouth. However, I do believe the time that we're going, I don't know much about George other than what I've got to research and find on my own. Largemouth might come into play as a secret in Lake George too. So I don't know. There was a little bit of argument about the schedule because it was like a Florida, Texas, Alabama, and then New York. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot of driving, but I don't think it's bad, really. We're starting it off in Harris Chain. I know it fish is totally different than the other Florida river, St. John's and Okeechobee. I fish Okeechobee a little bit. I know it fish is totally different, but come March, I'm going to be ready to get out of this cold weather and go down to Florida and put my shorts and sandals on and go fishing. But then Wright Patman too. Like, Wright Patman, I was there my first year, got my butt handed to me, had some more, my lower unit went out on me randomly. So I didn't get to fish that lake to the full potential. I'm looking to, gain a little bit more ground on Wright Patman. Like, Wright Patman has some big ones too. And I think the time that we're going there, whenever it is, I think mid-April, I think we're gonna catch them. So
yeah,
pick your poison. Now Logan Martin and Lay Lake, Coosa River, it's just gonna be a grinder. I think it's just gonna be grinder offshore kind of stuff, and we'll see how it happens. But if you have to ask me, I can't. It's either the one of the first two or the last two. I'm looking forward to. So
okay. Are you traveling with anybody this year versus what you did the last couple of years with the Army Outdoor Team?
Yeah, so right now I'm partnered up with Chad Marler and Gary Atkins. Gary Atkins is actually coming back. So between all three of us, Gary Atkins won multiple MPFL events. He's one angler, so he's a very knowledgeable angler. I think all three of us are going to fit real well with each other. Even though I was with the Army and Gary fished it when it was a couple of years ago, like we would still talk on the water. We'd help each other out to the most, that we could at the time. But now that I'm out and we're able to really team up and network like a lot of these other anglers are, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah. Freaking, some guys can do it on their own and those are the more established guys. And, some guys roll with the campers on the back of the trucks and then some guys are Airbnb-ing it, whatever. But that's another trial and error period for anglers too. There's a lot of times when guys room together and it doesn't work out. Maybe they don't establish ground rules off the bat and stuff like that. We talked to our buddy John Cruz about that a few years ago. That's one of the things that they do a lot of due diligence with when they get a new group in a household is they set those ground rules and stuff. But it's no secret, as long as it's another competitor, man, like you can share information, you can work together as a team. Yeah. I think that's why you see a lot of households do really, really well together. Yeah. Obviously you've seen the Corbishley, Palmer, Walters household, Cook household, like they do really well together. There's going to be some changes, I think, for some of the other households this year, but it's a great strategy, man. At the end of the day, like you guys bounce a lot of ideas off each other and everybody, a lot of people like Gary is a fantastic angler all around, but he's a heck of a Northern angler, and that's you're an Ozarks guy.
And you also just, when you start networking with people, and I found out in the past, like you really got to trust them because like for Harris Chain, 8 different lakes, 9 different lakes, whatever there is, 8 or 9. You use those 3 people or 4 people to start breaking down all these bodies of water and start coming back home, that first night and digesting it all out. Who's to say that Ben tells me, hey, dude, Lake so-and-so, crap, don't waste your time. Like, but we don't know Ben's going to go there on day 3 and just slug them. You know what I mean? Like you really got to trust, or you got to trust them that they don't move on onto your key stuff. You know, if that wasn't part of your rules, like you know, that's happened in the past. But where trust isn't always there.
So that you talked about, or well, I hear people say this a lot. Pete and I, you know, we Fisher's Men together. We got some buddies that we roll with, and you know, there's sometimes where people are too divulging of information. Do you think that you're that kind of guy where you give too much information, or do you think that that's going to change in 2026, that you're on your own now?
I think I gave too much, you know, while I was a part of the Army team. I think it gave me, I pushed too much out to everyone other than just my little group. Now, if we're all 4 or all 5 of us, I'm still going to be who I am. I'm still going to tell you, you know, but the other 125 anglers, I'm not. I mean, I'll still be a good person, of course, but like, nah, dude, like you got to keep it quiet because the same vultures are out there, dude. They will come and just run right over you.
I mean, you don't tell somebody your hand in Texas Hold'em when you're sitting at the table, right? And you don't want to put all your cards on the table at once. You know, that's what makes this.
And another thing too, and I'll like, it wasn't like starstruck because even the first year that I fished in the MPFL, we had some big hammers. We had a couple big stars over there, but like to me, I was just like, dang, dude, like my dream is really coming true. So like I was just like floating in the air, like just showing up. I'm like, I get to do this. And like I honestly wasn't really taking it as serious as I probably should.
Yeah.
And just over time I've gained this experience that, hey man, just shut your mouth and go fishing.
Well, and it's kind of counterintuitive from the community that we come from, right? Like transparency and effective communication leads to overall mission success, right? But that's only when you're all on the same team. And unfortunately in the MPFL and any other fishing organization, you're all individual teams trying to accomplish one objective, which is winning.
They're all trying to collect on you.
Yeah, they're all doing their human intelligence collection operations, and you're just that.
I've seen it.
Kevin Van Dam, they said, used to be the most fierce guy and psychologically impact people, but he's not the only one, he's not the only one that instilled fear in the competition. So maybe a behavior change might be something that you look forward to in 2026. Are you going to be taking your lovely wife on the road with you this year?
Yeah. So another thing about being back home now, I'm 3 miles away from my daughter. It hit me because like I'm a big family man. I really am. But it's hard being in the military and my daughter being, a couple states away and going to these tournaments. And I see these other kids and boys and girls come up on the stage. And I'm like, man, I want my daughter to be there because she'll watch this on live, and she'll text Cheryl throughout the day, say, hey, Dad's in such and such place, or he just caught a big one. And so like, I want her to be there. And so like, I think we're going to kick off the year with both of them there, Cheryl and Emery there on Harris Chain. And then I think whenever we go up to Florida, or not Florida, but to New York, Cheryl and I stop by Niagara Falls. Like we take advantage of where we're going and kind of like detour out. But I think we're going to take my daughter up to see the Niagara Falls and just spend some time up there because, when the season kicks off, like I can't believe 2025 is already over. Like we're already talking about Christmas. And it's like, it feels honestly like the first sergeant at the Army Outdoor Team was like, hey, you're fishing again. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm getting out. Like, that was a year ago. Like that's crazy. So I'm just trying to make the best of it. The only good thing about my position is that like we said at the beginning of the show is, dude, I'm lucky, man. Just like, I'm retired at 39 years old, dude. I don't have to do nothing.
I don't know if luck is the word.
No, it wasn't a lot. No. It's a lot of sacrifice. I will say that. But,
right. Yeah.
But I was going to start I love construction work. I was going to build, pole barns and stuff like that. But I put a cease to that too because I knew there was a lot of money in it. I knew that my business would take off. Just one, because I know the environment where I'm at, like people talk, and it blew up. Like I was like, oh my, you can't do it anymore. Like I'm done. I was talking to you, Trey, and so I put a pause on it. Now that I get to fish again and represent other companies under Josh Watkins, like I'm going to take it serious. And it goes back to what you asked me, how are you going to be on social media? I'm really going to try to be a little bit more engaged, not a little bit, but a lot more engaged. And a lot of people think just posting a picture is good, or posting a story, but people like this. People like seeing and hearing voice, putting voice to face. And that's what I'm really going to try to do. Maybe get on some of these smaller bodies of water and do a how-to and break down something. That's what I'm really looking forward to, because now I have the time. Like I'm not working for the Army. I'm not building pole barns. I put that on a pause. So that goes back to I know I didn't fully answer your question a while ago, but that's how I'm going to try to do this year.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're definitely going to keep you, on the OneCast leash and bring you back, multiple times because, it's when you retire from probably anywhere, but specifically from the military and you're only, 39 years old, like, man, that's a weird sense of freedom. That is, it's probably going to show in your tournament fishing and everything else in your life. So, but and there, like I said, there's a lot of people on here, and heck, guys, if listen, neither of us are in the Army anymore. Ben's not in the Army anymore, but if you're looking at joining the military, it's not always a bad move, right? Like there's some things that you got to sacrifice with it. But I guess more of the peacetime military is maybe a little bit better. But Ben, Pete, what do you guys got for Josh? Because we're coming up on an hour here.
No, I just appreciate you hopping on and hanging out with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I feel sorry because I've been coughing and I got a whole bunch of cough drops right here. I've been sucking down, trying to keep it quiet. But I really do appreciate you guys. You guys all become really, really good friends of mine, and I really hope to keep this going. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I don't have anything else, man. Just appreciate you jumping on.
Are you guys going to the Classic or no?
Yeah.
So our tournament, Harris Chain, is like our practice starts like the day after. I think the last day of Expo, or that Sunday. I'm gonna try to go down to Knoxville because it's like 5 hours from me. I'm gonna try to be there that Thursday. So hopefully I can see you guys there.
Heck yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
I mean, speaking of fishing shows, guys, Josh, how incredibly important they can be. Not only from selling product side of the house, but networking, right? Just meeting people. There's always new faces moving in and out of the industry, those that are in charge of, sales departments and distributors and you name it, right? We meet tons of great people. Are they exhausting? Absolutely. Fishing shows are exhausting to work and you sound like a broken record, but there's always little opportunities to sneak away and go talk to your buddies and develop new friendships. That being said, Raleigh Fishing Show is the 9th through 11th of January. Please swing up there, see us at the OneCast fishing booth. Take a Warrior Fishing is going to be there, our 501c3 that Pete and I are on the board for. We're going to have tons of our different friends there. If you can't make it to the Raleigh show, OneCast Fishing is going to be at the Fayetteville show, right, Ben? That's going to be in February.
Yep. That's February. That's January 29th through February 1st. You're at the tournament. Yep. You're at the Open.
Yep. So I'll be down at the Kissimmee Chain.
Yep. He'll be taking the win down there.
Hopefully, we'll see. and then the classic is when?
Whenever I think it's the 12th through the 14th.
12th, 13th, and 14th, something like that.
Yep.
Like
so
I gotta get Air Force.
Yep. That's my son's birthday too. So I'm going to have to circle back around and do something special for him after the fact. But yeah, so you got Raleigh coming up, you got Fayetteville coming up, you got the Classic in Knoxville coming up. So January, February, March time frame. And then, there's tons of events throughout the year. I don't know if you'll see us at ICAST, probably not, but nevertheless, like get out there, meet guys like Josh Watkins and Pete and Ben and myself, network, and have those like really truthful conversations about the fishing industry, especially if you're a young angler wanting to get in this game and, put your money where your mouth, put other people's money where your mouth is. because that's how you got to operate, right off OPM, and they get a tax break for it. So, but Josh, we appreciate you joining us here tonight, man. We know you got a long movement tomorrow back up in Michigan. Ben and Pete, if you don't got anything, I'll close it out with Josh. You got any last words of wisdom for the crowd before we end this?
No, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. Again, I apologize for the raspy voice and all that, but to you guys, again, I thank you guys for having me on. Looking forward to this continued friendship. And if I don't talk to you guys before the holidays, I hope you guys all have a good holidays and Happy New Year. So,
we appreciate that, Josh. Hold the line real quick. We're gonna shut this down, folks. Josh Watkins, recently retired Master Sergeant from the United States Army, jumping in the 2026 MPFL season. Thank you for helping us to continue growing culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.